பண்ணிட்டு
Okay.
ரெக்கார்டிங் ஸ்டாப் பண்ணோம் சார். இருக்கட்டும் இல்லையா?
Shall I proceed?
Yes, sir. You can proceed, sir.
Yeah, very good evening, delegates. Apologies for the delayed start. There were some technical glitches. We apologize for the same. Welcome to today's virtual CPE meeting. We have with us Mr. CA Amit Kumar Kedia, who will take us through insights of a social stock exchange. It's my privilege to introduce Sir. CA Amit Kumar Kedia is a practicing chartered accountant, senior partner of Gopal Sharma and Company. Through his more than 15 years of career, he has been recognized for his contribution and expertise as a knowledgeable professional, advisor, and consultant in the field of financial consultancy, which includes RERA, valuation, project consulting, corporate finance, mergers and acquisitions, and corporate restructuring advisory, and tax advisory. With a core expertise in finance, specifically fundraising across various products, he has been serving entrepreneurs and various corporates. He has been the convener in various programs of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Tax Consultants Association, and a co-convener in Committee of the Tax Consultants Association of Jaipur. He has been speaking on various platforms for various topics with regard to professional knowledge sharing and having an in-depth knowledge about his subject. Delivered lectures on various chapters of the Confederation of Real Estate Developers Association of India, is advising projects across country and seeing RERA matters in authority as well as in tribunal. In-depth knowledge on Government of India recently announced rupees 25,000 crore Category 2 Alternate Investment Fund in order to boost the ailing real estate sector, which is sitting on a large inventory of unsold and incomplete projects, so that viable real estate projects which were stuck due to the liquidity crunch will be able to resume construction in stalled projects. He has been associated with All India Federation of Tax Practitioners, Rajasthan Tax Consultants Association, Tax Consultants Association, Confederation of Indian Industry, Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, member of the ICAI RERA Study Group and a task force formed by the Committee on Economic, Commercial Laws and Economic Advisory of ICAI. He was also the chairman of RERA Committee Tax Consultants Association. His qualification and attributes are as follows. He did 3 years of articleship training from B. Koshla and Company in MI Road, Jaipur. He also holds a Bachelor of Commerce degree from Rajasthan University. And he's a chartered accountant by our institute. And he also completed certificate course on valuation organized by ICAI, certificate course on forensic accounting and fraud detection organized by ICAI, workshop on hedge funds and private equity by ICAI, certificate course on ADR, arbitration, mediation, and conciliation conducted by ICAI. He also did certificate course on NPOs conducted by ICAI. With this brief, I present before you CA Amit Kumar Kedia, who will give us insights of a social stock exchange. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ramanji, and the whole SIRC team, and especially the chairman, sir, who have given me this opportunity to share this knowledge on social stock exchange, which is not older than just 30 days. So in just 30 days of coming up with the new concept of social stock exchange, we are there with all our members of SIRC to discuss in detail. So friends, social stock exchange is not the only opportunity where we as a professionals can see and take. Recently on 14th January 2023, our institute had came up with the standards also, wherein the social auditor, how they need to take those standards and how the social audit would be conducted. That is also one of the another opportunity and another learning which we would be understanding in today's session of ours. So friends, we would be going by this. What is a social enterprise? We would be understanding about the inception, the social stock exchange world, how this world is the SSE journey, how this social stock exchange journey started and where we are today, the social enterprises eligibility, what are the eligibility of social enterprises, the ineligibility, how an enterprise would be ineligible in case of social enterprises, the activities, the definitions which are there, the provisions which are applicable, and the governing council which have been appointed. Further, in the second part, this whole session is being divided into 4 parts. So the second part would be the fundraising by an NPO, that is a non-profit organization. What are the modes of raising fund by an NPO and an for-profit enterprise, that is FPE, the registration criteria, the NPO which are raising fund through ZC, ZP, what are the mode of that, the disclosures to the issue of ZC, ZP, that is given under section 292K of ICDR, and ZC, ZP termination, how the termination would be done with. Then we would be moving to the reporting, which is governed under 91C of LODR, the NPO annual disclosures by SSE, what are the disclosures and SSE need to done, the general aspects, the governing aspects, the financial aspects, the limitations, and the disclosures. Apart from that, the other reportings of these in terms of annual impact report, that is the AIR by a social enterprises, a statement of utilization of funds by a listed NPO to the social stock exchange. And lastly, as I told you, on 14th January only, our institute have came up with the social audit framework standards. So we would be understanding about the social audit, the scope of audit, the scope of social audit, audit standards, and social audit reporting format. Then there are some questions which have been, some questions which have been put in place by the National Stock Exchange. So we would be understanding and going through an overview of those FAQs. So friends, on 2019-20 financial budget, our finance minister, Srimati Nirmala Sitharamanji, had came with this concept through the budget speech where she announced, and I just repeat the words of Madam Nirmala Sitharamanji. She said, I propose to initiate steps towards creating an electronic fundraising platform, a social stock exchange, under the regulatory ambit of Security and Exchange Board of India, that is SEBI, for listing social enterprises and voluntarily organizers working for realization of social welfare objective, so that they can raise capital as equity, debt, or units like mutual funds. So as in a normal corporate capital market, the fundraising is very easy because the markets have been matured. But for an NPO, the fundraising is as on date also towards the people who are near and dear, towards the people who are in close contact. These are the only people through whom the fundraising as on date could be done. To raise this aura, wherein not even sitting at any place, say in Chennai, if somebody wants to raise funds from, say, West Bengal, then the approach would be very difficult. But coming up with a social stock exchange, an electronic platform would going to support this whole concept in totality. So that was the thought. Now, friends, we understand what is there about this social stock exchange, worldwide. In Jamaica, 2018, it got incorporated. In Singapore, 2019. In Canada, 2013. United Kingdom, 2013. Portugal, 2009. South Africa, 2006. Brazil, 2003. So this concept undoubtedly is new for our country, but it is new, not new for the world at large. In the world, there are concepts which are there and they are running successfully. It is just mere that in India, it had came recently. So a wide range of funding options would be available to the social enterprises. And what damages have been created by the pandemic, those damages would at any given point of time would be recovered from this. And there is a very large pool of capital which is there, as I told previously to you, which are not able to put in place, which are not able to come on the platform. That big, large capital would going to come and would going to help the people out for this. So friends, this is a brief journey about the social stock exchange. As told you previously in the budget 2019, it came. Then the construct of the working committee group got incorporated in 2019. Then working group report came. Then constitution of the technical group happened. Then the technical group report came. Then a declaration. This ZCZP, we would be understanding at a later stage. The ZCZP concept, the instrument, was not there in our Indian economy. So this security got notified on 15/7/2022. Then the ICDR regulation came, the LODR came, the framework on the social stock exchange came. Then there was a governing council which got appointed, and in NSE got an approval from SEBI, and BSE got a final approval on 27/12/2022 from SEBI. So this is a brief journey. So the concept is not an old one. It is very new. Just 1.5 months before only BSE got an approval, and just a month away, not even a month, just 21 days before, our institute had came with the standards. So friends, what is the eligibility? To understand this eligibility, we need to just go through this slide, wherein a social enterprise have been divided into two parts. First part is a non-profit organization. That is an organization which is for not for profit. And second is an organization which is for profit. Yes, which is for profit, but is somewhere doing work for social benefit. Or you can say, we would be understanding 16 activities further. Under those 16 activities, if any of these activities are being carried out, maybe for profit, then it would be for profit social enterprise. So a charitable trust, which is registered under Indian Trust Act 1882, a charitable trust which is registered under public trust of the relevant state, that is of that particular state, if that charitable trust is registered, a charitable society which is registered under Society Registration Act, a company which is incorporated under Section 8 of Companies Act 2013, or any other entity which the board may permit from time to time. So basically, if any of the entities which are registered under any of these 4 entities, under any of these 4 acts, then in that case, these entities would be eligible as an NPO, that is a non-profit organization, to be considered as a social enterprise. Now we understand what would be a for-profit social enterprise. So for-profit social enterprise would be an enterprise which is a body corporate. So leaving all these four, any of the entity which is a body corporate would be a for-profit enterprise. So doing work for profit plus doing any of the activities, 16 activities, which we would be understanding later. Combination of both would be a for-profit social enterprise. And that does not include a company which is incorporated under Section 8. That is like an important thing which we need to understand. So I assume this presentation slide number 7, that is eligibility of social enterprise, is very much clear to everyone. If you have any doubts, please put it in the chat box. I would try to clarify it right away, right now only, because this is a very important part which we need to understand. The reason for which all the base which would be understanding later on would be dependent on this. So as of now, there is no question on the chat box. So I understand and I assume that this concept of social enterprise divided under NPO, that is a non-profit organization, and for-profit social enterprise is clear, and taking that into account, I am moving forward. So which are the enterprises which are ineligible? Enterprises where the promoters or the promoter group or the director or the selling shareholders trustees are debarred from accessing the security market. This is a very general concept wherein any of the defaulter in the security market is and always been restricted from accessing the security market further. Debarred from accessing security market for the directors, trustees of the social enterprises is a promoter or director or any other company or social enterprises. So if he is director in another company also and it is debarred, then also they would be debarred. A director trustee with a willful default or a fraudulent borrower, in that circumstances also they would be debarred. And if they are debarred from carrying the activity of fundraising, then in that case also they would be debarred. So as I was repeating again and again previously, there are 16 activities. There are 16 activities. So these are the activities. We need to understand these activities very thoroughly, because whole of our audits, whole of our submissions, all our analysis would be dependent on these 16 activities. If any of the social enterprise is not doing these 16 activities, then outrightly they would not be eligible for coming on the social stock exchange. For the purpose of these regulations, a not-for-profit enterprise or for-profit organized enterprise to be identified as a social enterprise shall have these preliminary intent. They should have an intent that for these activities we would be working either for an NPO or for a profit enterprise. So what are these intents? We just understand very quickly. A social enterprise, whenever, friends, I am using the word social enterprise, That means for profit and not for profit. Both the entities would be covered whenever I use the word social enterprise. So engaged in hunger, poverty, malnutrition, and inequality. If any of the entities are working in any of the fields, promoting healthcare, including mental health, making available safe drinking water, then this is another second activity, promoting education, employability, livelihoods. This is the third, promoting gender equality, women's empowerment, and community working, promoting protection of national heritage, art, and culture, environmental sustainability, forest, wildlife, conservation, training to promote rural sports, nationally recognized sports, Paralympic sports, Olympic sports, then they would be considered as an activity. Support as an incubator of social enterprise, that would be considered as an activity. Support other platforms that strengthen the non-profit ecosystem in fundraising and capacity building. These type of enterprises would also be considered as an eligible activity. Promoting livelihood for rural and urban poor, including enhancing income of small and marginal farmers and workers in non-farm sectors. They would be eligible. Slum area development, affordable housing, and other building sustainable and resilient cities, disaster management, including relief, rehabilitation, promoting financial inclusions, facilitating access to land and property asset for disadvantaged communities, digital divide in internet, mobile phone access, promoting welfare for people, any other activity which the board may suggest from time to time. But as of now, these are the 16 activities. Then moving forward, 67% of its activities should be an eligible activity through one or more of the following. In following 3 years average. So any of these activities, 67% should be there. If out of these 16, if the 67% criteria will not be met, then it would not be eligible. It would be in terms of revenue, in terms of expenditure, or in terms of consumer. So any of these 67% should be covered. Enterprises which shall not be eligible to be identified as a social enterprise. So friends, these would be the enterprises which will not be eligible. That is the corporate foundations, political or religious organization or activities, professional or trade associations, infrastructure and housing company, except the affordable housing. So any of them, except affordable housing, would not be eligible. That is the corporate foundation, like foundation of Reliance, Tata. So these foundations would not be eligible. Political or religious organization So for any NPO or any society or any trust which are working for the particular purpose of political or religious, then in that case, they would not be eligible. So for example, if any trust is being run for the particular religious purpose or the temple trust or any of the political parties, then those all would be ineligible. Maybe, please understand, maybe they are registered as a trust, maybe they are registered as a society, maybe they are registered as Section 8 company. In all the circumstances, if they are a political, religious, or a corporate, or a professional trade association, or an infrastructure or a housing company, they all would be ineligible. Professional or trade association like ASSOCHAM, CII, FICCI, these all would be ineligible, or any local trade association which normally is being made by the local people there. Any infrastructure and housing companies, these companies would also be ineligible. So friends, we understand some of the definitions. So means the fundraising document means the draft fundraising document filed with SSE in relation to public issue of ZC-ZP instrument by NPO registered with SSE. That is any of the document. It is a similar document wherein whenever an IPO comes, a prospectus is being prepared. A prospectus is then submitted to the SEBI or to the stock exchange. Once that prospectus is approved, then it becomes a final fundraising document. Then what is a final fundraising document? It means the fundraising document filed with SSE after incorporations of the observations issued in the draft, then it becomes a final fundraising document. What is a social stock exchange? By now, friends, you might have understood what is a social stock exchange, but just for a more and a better understanding, it is the exchange wherein it is the exchange wherein it is having a nationwide terminal. As of now, in India, BSE and NSE are the only two exchanges which are having a national-wide terminals. And as told you previously, NSE have got and received in principle approval. They are yet to receive the final approval, and BSE is there with the final approvals. Then a social auditor means an individual registered with the self-regulatory organization under ICAI or such other agency as may be specified by the board, who had qualified a certified program conducted by National Institute of Security Market and holds a valid certificate. So friends, all the institute here, the competition have came wherein the Institute of Chartered Accountants, the Institute of Company Secretary, and the Institute of Cost Accountants. All the three institutes have incorporated their SRO. Now, after incorporation of the SRO, members can get themselves registered. They need to be prior experience of minimum 3 years. And in addition, they need to pass the the exam which has been conducted by the National Institute of Security Market. If these eligibility are there, then a social auditor, they would be considered as a social auditor and they would be eligible for doing the audit of these social enterprises. What is a social audit firm? Means any entity which are employed social auditors and has a track record of minimum 3 years for conducting social impact assessment. So any of these firms which have conducted social impact assessment are eligible. So friends, again, for a mere repetition, that all the three institutes are eligible for this. All the members are eligible. They just need to pass the National Institute Security Market Certificate course on, and after that they would be eligible. What is a social enterprise? Means either a not-profit organization or a for-profit enterprises. That means for eligible criteria specified in this chapter. So any of these enterprises, as told you previously and discussed in detail, any of these enterprises would be considered as a social enterprise. Applicability of provision of SSC. So what are the applicability? The provision of this chapter shall apply to 292B of ICDER. That is NPO which are seeking only registration at SSE, NPO which are seeking registration and raises funds through SSE, and for-profit enterprises seeking to identify as a social enterprise not to raise fund on SSC. So one by one, I try to make you understand what exactly is the provision of 292B of ICDR. So friends, the concept is very new again, wherein it has been a distribution that if you as an enterprise just want to get yourself registered, yes, as an enterprise, you just want to get yourself registered, then you can go to the social stock exchange. You can just get yourself registered and you need not to go for fundraising. Hope I am absolutely clear. Friends, I will request if any questions, there is any clarification which is required on a real-time basis, you can put your question so that at that particular time also, only I would try to answer it and try to cover that question of yours. So if I am an NPO, not-for-profit organization, and I want to get myself registered, then I can go to the social stock exchange, get myself registered. There is no need, I again repeat, there is no need for me going and raising fund. It is just for my visibility, that I am visible to public at large, I can do this activity. Correct? Now, I want to raise fund also. So what would be the prior condition? In that condition, I just need to first get myself registered and then come with a fundraising document, then get it subscribed, and then I can move forward. We would be doing this and understanding this in detail moving forward, but just to set the context and just set the background, I'm just putting it in this manner. And the third concept, wherein I am a for-profit enterprise. So who would give me a recognition that I am a for-profit organization? For that, I need to get myself registered with the social stock exchange as a for-profit enterprise. Once I get myself registered as a for-profit enterprise, then I can go for fundraising. Now, for fundraising, this platform would not be there. Platform like main board or the SME board or the startup board or any other board. These boards would be there, and in these boards, you would be able to raise the funds. So there where you can raise the funds. I just got a question wherein it has been asked that in for-profit enterprise, would we be able to distribute dividends? Yes, certainly, we would be able to distribute dividends. The only recognition for profit enterprises is that they fall under those 16 activities, and because of following in those 16 activities, you would be considered as a social enterprise, and you need to get a recognition from the social stock exchange that you are following as a social enterprise. Rest apart, the fundraising would be absolutely in the similar manner as it has been done in the today's world of stock exchange, which is the listed company. The only difference it is making is we are getting understanding, and people are getting an understanding like, yes, these organization is for-profit organization, which everybody knows, but they are a social enterprises also doing work for a particular activity. Is social stock exchange live in the moment? So yes, friends, the social stock exchange is live, and the registration and fundraising have started. Registration have started. Fundraising activity is just soonerly it would be started. That was a question which I have taken. Yes. So the governing council, friends, got appointed on 13/10/2022, very recently, and it is there in place now. So this was all about the basics, what the basic the social stock exchange is all about, how it basically how it operates and stuff like that. Now, as told you earlier, we have divided our session into 4 parts. So we would be moving to the second part, that is the fundraising by a social enterprise. How this fundraising happens, we just try to understand this. So as discussed previously, friends, these are the modes of fundraising by social enterprises. That is, for the not-profit organization, ZCZP, principal instrument, is one of the options wherein they can issue a ZCZP, that is a zero coupon, zero principal. That is, once the instrument is being issued, money have been received, these instruments in the similar manner as the shares are being sent to a demat account, these instruments would be going to the donors demat account. Why I have used the word donor? The reason for this is, in a zero coupon, zero principal, once it has been issued, the coupon value becomes 0 in terms of the return it need to be given on the principal, and the principal value is also 0. So net there is no obligation of any interest or any sort of return on the principal, nor there is a liability towards the principal also. So that is why this ZCZP instrument was not there in our country, and it has been brought in by a finance ministry notification. So this is an instrument which a non-profit organization can raise. Donors through mutual fund scheme. What is this? Looking and sounding to be some new concept, but no, this is an old concept wherein donors come and create a fund as a mutual fund. HDFC, for example, is running a cancer mutual fund wherein they are collecting money for the cancer patients for the treatment of cancer hospitals, and they are funding those enterprises through that mutual fund. As of now, there are only two methods in which the fund raising can be done. In future, if any mode which the board may direct, that may come in place. So this was for the non-profit organization. Now we understand for the profit social enterprises. The issue of equity shares on the main board, as told you previously, on the SME platform or the innovator growth platform. These may be the various modes in which this fund could be raised by the for-profit enterprise. Friends, I am repeating, but I can understand like this repetition is necessary. That is the reason I am repeating. Friends, again I tell, for-profit enterprises can issue through the main board, SME, or the innovator growth platform. But first of all, they need to get themselves registered with the social stock exchange. So the prima facie condition is that they need to get themselves registered with the social stock exchange. From there, they would going to get a recognition like they are a social enterprise, right? Issue a debt security in the similar manner as the debt securities are being issued by other for-profit making enterprise. In the similar manner, they can issue these debt securities. Any instrument which may be specified by the board at a later stage, then that could be one of the manner in which they could be raising their fund. So friend, there is an explanation towards this. I just read that explanation for the benefit of all, which says FPE entities shall list and trade on applicable above segment with a security in for FPE. FPE shall meet the criteria. This is very important. FPE shall meet the criteria of main board, SME platform, or innovative growth platform, in addition to the criteria of SSE regulation. So whichever platform they love to go, they are free to go, but they have to take care of these both platforms. That is the conditions of main board, SME platform, or the innovator growth platform, and then they would be getting themselves listed. So NPO criteria to register on SSE as per 292F of ICDR, which says in the given manner, that is an entity registered as an NPO, RC, that is the registration certificate validity, at least next 12 months at that time. There should be a valid registration certificate for at least 12 months. A charitable trust registered under the Indian Trust Act 1882, Public Trust Statute of the relevant state, Society Registration Act 1860. These three, or a company incorporated under Section 8 of the Companies Act 2013. These are the requirements for an entity to be registered as an NPO at the social stock exchange. Ownership and control would going to come from the MOA, AOA, the trust deed, bylaws, and the disclosures of the control and owned by the government or the private. Exemptions under Income Tax Act would be indicated by the registration certificate under 12A, 12AA, 12B of the Income Tax Act. Registration certificate validity should be at least 12 months. That is, the RC validity should be at least 12 months, not having ongoing scrutiny or notice with the income tax authority. So they should not be going under any type of scrutiny. That is also a very important criteria. Registration with the income tax as NPO, a PAN card, which is a valid document, which should be required. Broad parameters of the age of the NPO would be from the registration certificate, and the minimum age should be at least of 3 years. So that is the past. So what we have understood in previous slides, where 67% of the income expenditure or the number, whichever is there, should be required, is that is for the last 3 years. So that is, the age should not be less than 3 years. Deduction under Income Tax Act, that is 80G, ensure whether deduction available or not to investors. NPO which have an annual spending in last financial year audited account should be minimum of rupees 50 lakhs, and funding in a last financial year should be minimum 10 lakhs as per the audited account. These two criteria are also very important for identifying the criteria of registration by the NPO for their fundraising. So friends, these are the disclosures which are and which will be required at the time the fundraising document is being prepared. That is the vision. What is the vision of the NPO? What is the target segment? What is the strategy? What is the governance? What is the management? What is the operations? How the finance would be managed? How the finance would be managed, the compliances, the credibility, the social impact, and the risk. These all need to be taken care and to be understood. So, going through the brief of the vision, the organization activity, the programs which are in line with aims of the objective for which it has been constituted, that need to be understood. That is very important. The target segment, what are the target segment, the approach towards, and you need to disclose those approaches, the strategy, how the strategy, what is the vision in which the NPO would be working, what are the capabilities, what are their learning from the challenges. These all stuff need to be put in place in detail. The governance, that is, the organization has a governing body, and detail of governing body should be put in place along with the key person. All the board meetings should be covered and should be placed. Management, the detail of key managerial staff, how the fundraising would be done, how the marketing would be done, the communication, the finance, HR, the organization disclosures, all stuff should be there. Operations, the organization has a physical existence in the operational and share in the additional for the visit, the finance disclosure, the financial instruments for last 3 financial year need to be put in place in accordance with the guidance of NPO issued by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. The compliances, any material regularities should not have been reported. There should be any income tax notice should not be there. All these stuffs need to be put in place. How the credibility would be created? The credibility would only be created by the trust deed, the MOA, AOA, the address proof, the IT, PAN card, 12A, 12AA, 12AB certificates, FCRA certificates, the return, the remunerations to the governing body. All these stuffs need to be put in place, because if in case the remuneration is being given or put in place abnormally, risk, what are the risks of the NPO? So to understand the NPO raising fund through ZCZP, we just understand that only NPO registered with the SSE shall having a specific tenure without any coupon or any principal payable on maturity. So as discussed previously, first of all, they need to get themselves registered with the SSE, and then the coupon would be having zero value, the maturity, they would be having a zero value. Eligibility for issuance of ZCZP instrument, NPO registered with the SSE may issue ZCZP listed on the SSE. No specific project or activity specified in regulation 292E of ICDR should be breached. If that is breached, then the eligibility of ZCZP would again going to fall. This is the procedure in which this instrument of ZCZP would going to come to the public. NPO shall file draft fundraising document with the SSE, that is by the social stock exchange. It should be filing this document. Draft fundraising document shall be available to the public for the public comments on SSE and NPO website at least 21 days prior. That is the day when I am coming with the issue. Before that, at least 21 days before, this document should be there. SSE shall provide its observations in 30 days from filing or receipt or clarification by the SSE from NPO, whichever is later. NPO shall incorporate observation of SSE in draft fundraising document and file a final fundraising document. Procedure for private issuance of ZCZP instrument by NPO, that is 292L of ICDR. NPO registered on SSE may also issue ZCZP to SIF registered under SEBI AIF Regulation 2012. Provisions given in this chapter for public issuance of ZCZP also applicable to private issuance of ZCZP. So friends, whatever compliances are to be done by the issuance of these ZCZP, those compliances would also be required in case a ZCZP is issued privately. That is, they are not going for a public, but they are just going for a private placement. Then also that instrument would be required, and that would be put in place and to be acknowledged for people at large. So SSE shall applicable only to institutional and non-institutional investors as per 292C of ICAI. So what it means, as of now, the retail investor is not eligible. That is, a retail investor, if they want to buy ZC, ZP, then in that case, they are not eligible. So if I, for the benefits of member, if I tell the definition of the retail investors, so it goes like, retail investors are those investors who do any investments which is below rupees 2 lakhs. So if I, as an individual, go and buy a ZCZP, which is of rupees 2,01,000, then I can buy. I may be a retail investor only in the category, but once I cross the value, that is 2,01,000, I becomes a non-institutional investor in eyes of SEBI. So net, the minimum investment would be rupees 2 lakhs only. Minimum issuance size of rupees 1 crore. That is, the issue size would be of rupee 1 crore. Any issue size which is below 1 crore would not be eligible in going for the SSE. Minimum subscription would be 75%. That is, the amount which is eligible should be 75% only. If any of the amount which is being raised is less than 75%, then the subscription would not be fulfilled and the NPO would require to withdraw its subscription. In addition, there need to be put in place a detailed clarification. If the subscription remain between 75 to 100%, then what would be the manner in which the funds, the balance fund would be raised? What would be the impact if this shortage of fund is there? Then what would be the impact on the project? And if the subscription is below 75%, then they need to refund this 75% less amount, whichever they receive, back to the donors. Friends, here I would like to enlighten one more thing, that this funding is not on the NPO level, that is for the social enterprise level. The funding is on the project level. So it is not such that I have came with an issue and my entity would be getting the fund. It would be the project wherein the funding would be done. So how the termination of this ZCP instrument would be done? The termination would be done in two levels, or a level which is earlier, that is, if the fundraising objective are achieved and certificate have been submitted to the SSE. Then in that case, the termination of this ZP happens. If the tenure to the achieve and the objective have been achieved for which the fund have been raised has expired, then this would be terminated. So in a summarized manner, whatever instance happens first, that is the period or the purpose, whichever gets completed previously, then this instrument get terminated. So for instance, I have given a period of say 3 years for my project to be completed, for which I have issued a ZCZP. And I have completed for the purpose for which I have raised this fund have been completed in 2.5 years only. Then in that case, my ZCZP would be terminated in 2.5 years. In the same example, I was not able to complete my project, and it took 3.5 years for me to complete the project. But as I have assured that in 3 years only, I would be completing this project, and this 3 years have been breached. So because of that, now I have to complete this instrument of mine get terminated at 3 years only. Irrespective of that my project is not complete, it would going to take another 6 months to complete. Then also this instrument get terminated. I assume like the points are very much clear. So just to take a station before we next to our third part, that is the reporting requirements. There are 2 questions which I will love to answer. First is like, it has been asked that the concept have came with into 2019-20 by the finance minister, but nothing have happened. So friends, I would going to tell you, yes, the concept was there in 1920. There was a COVID period, and whole of the country was, or rather the world was here and there running high and cry for safety of life. At that time, the meetings was not regular, and there was a disturbance in all the activities. So those 2 years, you can please cut short from any of the business or any of the progress side. Apart from those 2 years, now like December, when BSc have got up in final approval, and the NSC have yet to, then in just these days, more than 2 digits, or rather I should say in 2 digits, the registration have happened in these exchanges. So in just 40-45 days, this have happened. Our institute have just after 15 days of getting an in-principle approval have came with the standards. The NASCM have just came with their examination. So yes, definitely things might have taken some long to start, but now it is there and it's full swing. Another question is, fundraising by NPO through SSE will be considered as specific donations received, and the relevant provisions of IT Act will applicable, that is 85% of the application, etc. Correct? Yes. The ZCZP issued would be considered as a specific donations that would be coming for a specific project, and it would be considered for the IT 85% application. That is very much clear. Now, if it does not happen, then the whole purpose of bringing this would going to be defeated. What are the consequences of the instrument being terminated? There is no consequences of the instrument being terminated. It is like the life, like for a issuance of shares, there is a life or perpetuity. Like whenever until the time the company would exist, the shares issued would going to exist. In the same manner, the debt issued by any company have a life, that the debt is issued for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. So after that period, after that life, it get terminated. In a similar manner, the ZCZP is instrument life have been defined, and that life have been correlated from the period for which it has been issued or for the purpose for which it has been issued. So whichever get terminated earlier, the instrument is terminated. So it is just the methodology of like explaining the life of this product. So annual disclosure, the NPO annual disclosures to SSE, which is covered under 91C of LODR, in 60 days from the end of the financial year, we need to give these annual disclosures. This is what is the opportunities we are talking about, the professional opportunities. The NPO annual disclosures have three aspects. That is the general aspect, the governance aspect, the financial aspect. So these three aspects we would be understanding in detail. In the general aspect, the legal and the popular name, the location of HO or of operations, vision, mission, purpose, organization goal, activities, product, services, type and numbers of benefit reached directly, indirectly, scale of operation, including employee or volunteer strength, list of top 5 donors or investors, list of top 5 programs in disclosures period. In the governing aspect, the ownership and the legal form, the governance structure, governing body details, executive details with their responsibilities, meeting details, these all need to be put in place. Organization level potential, related party transaction, mechanism for ethics, conflict of interest, remuneration policy, stakeholders, grievances, their details, compliance management process, the RC of 12A, 1280G, FCRA, GST, etc. What we are doing at the currently for a normal organization, these all would be done. As of now, what is happening is they are not in a systematic manner, they are not in a professional manner. A trust and a society is normally being considered as being closely held. But now, once it have been gone into public, the public money in form of ZC, ZP donations have been taken, then all the disclosures need to be very well placed to the public at large. So the financial aspect, the financial statement, that is the balance sheet, the income statement, the cash statement, the program-wise fund utilization certificate, auditor's report, auditor details, these all would be required. Intimation and disclosures by the social enterprises, that is again covered by 91D of LODR. That is the disclosures and the events information to the social stock exchange or the stock exchange. The social enterprises need to put in place about their disclosures on the listings. The personal managerial personnel that need to be put in place, they need to tell and disclose about the disclosures which have been made, the material impact which are there, which need to be put in place, time to time, which are the remaining which are on the regular basis, that need to be suo motu confirmation of delay reporting events of the information of the SSE. Social enterprises shall disclose on its website. Again, as I have told you previously, that was again like very closely held entity. So no websites, nothing like that. But now disclosures on its website for all such events or information which have been disclosed on the SSC or the RSC. So these need to be put in place now. So there is a paradigm shift in the working of the SSCs listed social enterprises. Maybe there may be the disclosures not so much previously, but now with this the disclosures would be ample. All social enterprises provide audited AIR to the SSE in 90 days from the end of the financial year. So in 3 months, they need to put their AIRs to them. AR includes quantitatively and qualitatively aspects of social impact generated by project by which fund have been raised on SSC. If the NPO is registered without listing a security on the AIR covered NPO significant activities, programs, projects during the year, and the methodology for determination of significance must be explained. If there is an activity, intervention program or programs covered under listed securities, it will as intervene and the program of the project. Which social enterprises receive funds from the social impact fund using SSC, then AIR covered all investee grantee organization with the fund is deployed. The AIR audit by the SSC auditors and the SS social enterprise shall disclose the social audit report with the AIR. A guidance note have also been provided in Annex 2 of the ICDR and LODRs. The SSC shall specify the additional parameters for disclosures of AIR. AIR should cover minimum below aspect, that is the strategy, intent, and the planning, the approach, the impact scorecard. Now, why I would going to go and invest or do punya to a SSC like that? This is the scorecard which would be there. And with this scorecard and understanding that I have an interest of donation to that particular social activity, and in those social activity also I have an interest of doing a donation to the one who is doing the best, then the scorecard would going to help me out with all these strategy, intent, and the planning with the which is the target segment, what are the challenges, how it need to be planned, what are the interventions, how are the programs, what are the projects. These all stuff need to be disclosed and put in place. And the approaches, what is the how is the trends, as what is the situations, what is the feedback of the stakeholder, what is the reporting period, what is the impact. These all approaches which are being understood need to become on the board. The impact scorecard should be put in place with the target segment, as I have told that they need to be a comparative between, say, an X NPO and an Y NPO. So this scorecard would going to help it, a feedback mechanism, a survey. These all stuff would going to help in creating the scorecard. The statement utilization of the fund of the IC by the LODR of the SEBI regulation, which says that all the listed NPO shall submit statement of utilization of fund of SSC within 45 days from the end of the quarter. In the similar manner as we used to submit, or in the similar manner we submit the audited financials. One, it is their similar manner. We need to put in place all these fund utilization statement within 45 days of the end of the quarter, which says the category wise amount or monies which has been raised, category wise amount or money which has been utilized, the balance amount remaining unutilized, the unutilized amount shall be kept in a separate bank account. So these need to be put in place in end of the quarter within 45 days. That is very important. So friends, with this, we have completed our third station. Now we would be moving towards our last one. Before that, there are two questions I would love to answer that. Understood. So termination does not NPO return money if project was not completed. So one question has been asked that if the project is not being completed then in the specified time, then would the NPO would going to pay back that ZC, ZP. So friends, logically, yes, but this question is a new question for me, which would be required a clarification. So I would going to understand, get a clarification, and offline, like in a day or two, I would be able to answer this. But as of now, yes, the question is good, but the person to whom the question has been asked is not good, as he is not having the answer to it. So another question is, for a retail investor who subscribes ZC, ZP beyond the permitted limited, will subscription amount be considered as donation for NPO registered under ATG? So friends, with this question, it looks like it has been asked that what would going to happen if the donation is done for the purpose of ATG. So as of now, these ZC, ZP instrument donations are not being considered by the finance ministry as donations under ATG. There is an ambiguity about this. We were hoping that in this budget, this clarification would going to come where these ZC, ZP would be considered eligible for the deduction under ATG, but these clarification have not been come. So as of now, the ambiguity between the CBDT and the stock exchange and the finance ministry still prevail. It looks like ATG deduction would not be allowed for these ZC, ZP instrument. So point of consideration of the value of the amount is of no use, because the instrument, that is the deduction under ATG for ZC, ZP, is still not been clarified by the ministry. So friends, starting our last leg for the scope of social audit framework, this framework applies to the social audit, that is social impact assessment of project program of social enterprise, to be conducted by a social auditors by the principle given in SSA. As discussed previously, SSA have already been notified. As other engagements conducted by social auditor or other auditor or an organization will not be under the scope of this framework. That is the most important thing which we need to understand, that any other engagements conducted by a social auditor or other auditors or an organization will not be under the scope of this framework. So friends, this is absolutely a different parallel audit, that is the social audit, that is absolutely different from the statute audit which is to be conducted, and these engagements would be absolutely different and parallel. So the social audit scope is an independent objective of reliable examination of impact of project programs, project-based activity of social enterprises governed by self-regulatory organization, that is an SRO or any other regulatory organization, so as to assess whether the project program, project-based activity is operating in accordance with the strategy intent and planning which have been given at the time we have filed our papers to the stock exchange. Assess the performance in terms of impact and the outcome. Suggest the way to improve the impact measurements and or the performance. So these are the SSA which are there in place. As we have discussed those 16 activities, these SAS are just parallel to those 16 activities. These have been notified on 14th January 2023 by our institute. So it's like that. So social impact report format would going to cover framework does not require a standardized format for reporting of the social audit engagements. Intent, they need to just disclose the executive summary and notice to the reader. That is what they need to put in place in this document. So what would be the contents? The background of engagement, about the project, responsibility and reporting entities of the social auditor, compliance and framework, standards of the code of conduct, scope of engagement, objective of the social audit, approach and methodology, the basic approach, which the steps are to be followed, sample methodology, what are the universe which have been taken, what are the samples, what are the techniques, what are the sample size, mapping of stock stakeholder for data collection, primary source, secondary source, and other tools, study limitations, gap and challenges, recommendations, case studies, any other relevant documents if it is being required. So there is some questions which is there. I just try to, will they qualify for CSR? Provide the NPO has filed CSR. So for the CSR, yes, it is again, like I'm very sorry to tell that, yes, again, it is under ambiguity that would the CSR would going to be permitted. As of now, with the talks with the finance ministry, with the talks with the stock exchange by me, the intent of the government is not to bring the CSR fund, the deduction funds where the deductions are being given to this stream. The thought of the stock exchanges and the finance ministry is that a new avenue need to be opened for a public at large, wherein they can come and do donations, wherein the unorganized sector, the sector which is not so organized, can get more organized, may get more transparent. So as of now, the deductions, that is the ATG and stuff like that, and the CSR is not being there. On a personal note, yes, that would going to defeat the purpose for which it has been brought into. But nevertheless, as of now, as the clarification is not there, till then I would prefer that it may be considered that the CSR and the deduction would not be eligible. So with the organizers, I just wanted to understand, like the questions in the chat box is what I need to address, or like there would be an open session where the questions would be asked, or should I move forward with my presentation? So if the organizers can help me, the SIRC team can help me out. So I move forward with my questions, the framed questions only, or like it would be an open where like questions would be asked. Okay, so it looks like I move with my framed questions, and in case any questions need to be asked or clarified, that could be put in the chat box, and I would be happy, as I'm doing, would be happy to answer them. Yes, friends. So what is the minimum reporting standard? So social problem which need to be solved, the target segment, the approach to solve, that is a minimum reporting standards which are required. So friends, see, this is the structure which we need to understand. In case there is a fund which is coming and somebody would like to take a risk, then in this methodology, there would be an risk investor who would be coming and taking risk and giving fund to the NPO. There would be an outcome funder who would be coming as and when they would feel like the project is being completed, and there would be party which would be involved. So what the risk investor would going to get is, risk investor would going to get a return out of it to not in a commercial manner, but to some extent in a smaller manner, wherein the risk investor would going to initially invest the money, would going to put in their money in the venture, in the project. Once the money is being given, the project has been completed, and when the project is being completed and the visibility is there, then the outcome funder, that is the real donor, would going to come and replace the risk investor fund with their donations. With the risk investor, they would be getting their principal, plus there would be a certain margin which the risk investor would be receiving and would be getting. So these are the general questions which almost like we have covered, and these questions are available on the website of National Stock Exchange in their website. So friends, now I move with the standards. So as told to you previously, the standards have been notified on by our institute on 14th January 2023. Friends, to give a background of all these, I would like to bring that prima facie, after going through the standards, examination of NSIM need to be passed, and once the NISM examination have been passed, then after that you may apply to the SRO for getting yourself eligible as a social auditor of the organization. So yes, the hosting of the website happened on 14th January by our institute, 14th January. So as we have like discussed those 16 activities. So for all activities, that is activity 1, that is the hunger, poverty, malnutrition, inequality, there is a social audit standard number 100. That is 100, and where they define this document, which is being showed to you members, is there on the website of our institute. So this document is very much there, hosted on our institute's website. So it very well says the objective and scope that need to be collected, the data which is to be collected, the review, the data which need to be reviewed, the inspection, the personal interviews which need to be conducted, the evaluation questions, key matrices, evaluation program, project, assessment of evaluation criteria, challenges, areas for improvement, limitations to the assessment, the social objectives. These all need to be set. Now, friends, these standards are like the minimum requirements which need to be followed for the law, and that need to be considered and taken care while, as and when, like we are showcasing our reports. So these are the like stakeholders, what are the direct benefits which have been given, what are the immediate family members, direct, what are the, who are the contractors, suppliers, funding, monetary agency, key program officials. Data should be reviewed in terms of following factors. So these factors should be there while we are understanding, that is the number of days taken, number of terms format, number of manpower deployed, number of villages, district covered, total distance, kilometers covered. So these are the parameters in which we need to put in place. The desk review would be conducted by the existing documents. What are the cash subsidy? What are the nutrition programs which have been conducted? What and how the awareness programs have been conducted? How and the manner in which the rural employment guarantee is being done? What are the feedbacks which we need to understand? What is the groups in which like the work have been done? It is like, is that an elderly people or like the SCs, STs, people who are of LGBTQR? So inspection and personal interviews which need to be conducted, wherein physical inspection, the same manner we do our stock audit, where we ascertain that yes, whatever have been showcased in the reports are being published and are being physically present or not. What are the queries? We can do an evaluation through our internal queries, like who are the people who have been interviewed, who is the focus group, social audit format, what are the rates, are the people below poverty or not, are the national family survey Celsius, is that matching with it or not? So these are like more or less the third person, the information which we get and through which we can evaluate our report and substantiate our report. There's like some of the questions which have been told and suggested by our institute is like the quality benefit of the programs, how it would be conducted, the who are the beneficiaries. So these what are the suggestions we can put in place? We need to review the project programs. We need to understand their metrics, like is that going or being conducted properly? What are the past trends? What are the activities which have been conducted during the reporting period? What are the programs? What are the assessments which has been done? And the assessments could be by the interviews or who are available, who are not available. That these evaluation criteria, these are the suggested evaluation criteria which have been given by the institute, but we at it in our in-house can develop more in addition to it, like number of meals, quality of meals, nutritional value, number of value to free food, number of benefits, number of children, number of pregnant women, cash subsidies, number of jobs created, wage distribution, provisions of employee personal demand of employees, percentage of population living below the national poverty line, increasing standard of living. We can do like with this program of our NPO, what are the standards which have been increased, what are the challenges and limitations of the audit which we can cover, the limited access, how the accessibility have been limited, that could be covered and put in place. Apart from that, annexures have been put in place by the standards, and those annexures need to be put. So in this similar manner, as there is a social audit standards of poverty, hunger, in the similar manner, as there are 16 activities, there are in totality 16 social audit standards where they are specifying the purpose for which the activity is being conducted. So for example, this standards goes for the mental health care, drinking water, then the detailing of who are the what in surveys the mental health care, mental issues of public at large, what are the drinking water issues that could be treated, what need to be addressed. These all data need to be collected with a specific purpose for the specific role, and then it need to be addressed. So these are the 16 standards. They all are repetitively same, but for specific purpose which they are there are being put in place. So seeing the time which is being given and which is available and not coming between your dinner, I was given a time of 7 and I have tried to complete it. There is one question which is unaddressed by me. I just answer that, and then as the organizer tell, I would be moving in the similar manner. So one unaddressed question is, how difficult is NISM exam? So I can, on a lighter note, I can say it cannot be difficult than our chartered accountancy exam, which giving 8 papers in continue 8 consecutive days we used to give. So it is not difficult than that. It's a very easy examination wherein just a book mere of 250 odd pages need to be read. You just need to get yourself registered with the NISM exam. It would be an online NCQ format exam where you can, like in all the state capitals, like the centers are there, and in the more or less tier 2 cities also, the centers are there. You just need to go and invest 3 hours of your while giving MCQs, and that's it, and you would be going through that. So yes, that's how difficult and that's how easy this examination is there. Can you recommend the book, sir? So sir, there is no as such book. Once you would be getting yourself registered with the NISM examination at NISM site, they would be giving you material, and you just need to go through that material. That material is of around 250 pages, odd pages. So with this, I once again thanks all the organization of SIRC and all the management committee members and the chairman, sir. With this, I bring my voice to an halt and leave the forum to the organization. Thank you. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Amit sir?
Yeah, I have with purpose muted. Like
sir.
there is a one question. In Jan, there was an empanelment for social auditor email. When will the final list come out? So this question you need to ask at BKC office. To the
One
best
second.
of
Which
manner.
questions are in Jan?
Yeah, in Jan, there was an initial empanelment of social auditors email.
What is the answer, sir?
So the answer is like the BKC office of SRO need to be checked.
Tell me the answer, sir.
BKC office, the Bombay office of SRO need to be contacted for this. They would be able to tell this. So it's an internal process of institute for which like it's an internal process of institute for which I am not aware.
Sir, can you tell me slowly, sir? Internal process of?
It is an internal process of institute.
1 second, sir. It is an internal process of institute.
Which I am not like, I'm not a right person to answer.
I'm not the right person.
WIRC office, WIRC Mumbai branch regional office could be contacted for this.
Could be conducted, huh?
Yeah. WIRC office could be contacted for this.
Okay.
Yeah. So with this, I have answered all the questions. Now, like if any more questions, I would be happy to.
Thank you for a great session. Okay. Will they? One more question. 1639. Will they qualify CSR provided NPO has filed a CSR one form?
So all of them have been answered.
You have answered.
Yeah. At the time of our presentation,
Okay.
as and when they were coming, we have answered all the questions.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
It's everything fine, sir?
All fine, all great.
Okay. Shall I close, sir?
Yeah, for me, like I'm done with.
Okay, sir.
I'm calling from Chennai, ICAI, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India.
Shall I close the session, sir?
Yeah, for me, I'm done with.
Okay.
If there's no questions or no queries, like I would be happy to conclude.
Okay, sir. So I'll wait a minute, sir.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
You have to come in person to the
So there's a question, how many partners in a firm do you think should complete the NISM exam. So any of the one partner would be good to go. So they have not defined how many partners. It is just that this exam need to be cleared. So anyone, to the best of my understanding, would going to suffice. So sir, can I take a leave like I'm scheduled with some another meeting at 7:50?
Yeah, sure, sir. Shall I close the session, sir?
Yeah, good to go. Thank you.
Okay. கட் பண்ணிட்டு போயிட்டான் சொல்றதுக்குள்ள கட் பண்ணிட்டான் கிளம்பிட்டான் என் வெபினார்